Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakak, Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS, including the elders that came before them, who taught us his truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers that push in the word of truth and in sincerity, a hopeful elect tabernacle of David. My brother Yashawan, back with this week's first World War III Daily update. All right, and NATO and the EU are falling apart. That's part of this beast system, all right? The military wing, all right? So we're going to read Psalm 55 and 20, all right? He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant, all right? Who is he? It's about Babylon the Great, all right? Your allies, the people that you were once allies with. Let's get this real quick. Okay, because what you did was you double-crossed your allies, namely France, okay, and Germany. Okay, and here's what they're going to do in return. All the men of thy confederacy, who's that? Everybody that you're allies with now, because treaties are just breaking down right now. All right, all the people in the Middle East that were hand in hand with the United States over the petrodollar and oil. All right, the Saudis, UAE. All right. All those Middle Eastern countries that were being protected by the United States are now going to the other side. All right? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. This is a future prophecy. When they go and team up with the other side, they're going to come against Babylon the Great, America. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, there is no understanding. So they're coming to get you. And then this will be a prophecy come to pass after they come after you and shoot their missiles on you. All right? So this is in the works right now. All right? Germany, France, all those Arab countries are going to go to the other side now that you've abandoned them. All right? So this is the beloved brother Malcolm's page. Okay, GMS Maccabean Spirit and Ba. September 20th today. This is called The End is Manifest, and we're going to watch a snippet of this, okay?
French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to speak with President Biden in the next few days to discuss the diplomatic crisis between France and the U.S. Last week, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia announced a new trilateral partnership. The agreement calls for Australia to buy a nuclear submarine fleet. Australia then scrapped an existing 2016 deal to buy diesel-powered subs from France. The French government says it was informed of the pact just hours before the public announcement, and last week, a French official called the development a, quote, betrayal. For the first time in modern history, France recalled its ambassador from Washington. Despite the tensions, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison defended the move on Sunday.
Okay, so you can see right now, the United States pulled a fast one and sold those nuclear subs to Australia because now they're leaving France and Germany out to dry. And that's those 10 toes, partly weak and partly strong, crumbling. All right, NATO, the EU is crumbling. All right, and all of this has to do with World War III. All right, you don't do your allies like that. Okay, let's watch a little more of this.
And Australia's interests are best served by the trilateral partnership that I've been able to form with President Biden and Prime Minister Johnson. That is what serves Australia's long-term national interests. That's what I think ensures that we can contribute more significantly to peace and security in the Indo-Pacific region.
Ambassador, give us the French point of view. Why is your country so angry about this deal?
Well, actually, it's just, for us, it's an incredible astonishment. First, on the 30th of August, 3 weeks ago, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Defense of Australia had reaffirmed their commitment to the deal. While they were doing it, I don't know if they did it out because they were not informed or out of deviousness. Actually, our best allies, the Americans, the British, and the Australians, had been plotting in our back. Plotting not only to take the contract, really, which is an industrial loss to my country, but also to kick us out. Because the result of this negotiation is, again, not only American submarines in Australia, but it's also a strategic partnership with our friends. So it's amazing. Really, allies don't behave this way. And I think it explains, the outburst of anger in Paris. And I can tell you, it's really general throughout the public opinion.
He said, allies don't behave this way. All right, let's listen.
Well, there's a new defense pact in the world here, and the sides are clearly taking place. I said just a day ago this was starting to form, and now we have it. We are nuclearizing Australia. We are nuclearizing Great Britain to a greater degree. And we are not France and Germany. But first of all, let's take Australia for a second. Australia is taking nuclear submarines from us. Clearly, this is in response to the Chinese threat. The Chinese have really cut Australian imports by 30% because they're unhappy. They think the Australians are, well, shall we say, less than appreciative for all the domination they've given their country in the last 10 years.
Okay, so what they're saying is everybody's choosing a different side right now. And all of the ties that they had prior to this are going out the window, letting you know, setting the stage for the World War III drawdown. Okay, this is the World War III update. Okay, and what we're doing is we're showing you through the scriptures what is going on, what will go on, and what the outcome will be. We know what the outcome will be. We can see World War III ramping up to the point where they have to declare World War III, okay, because the fighting will be so much, all right? And then we know what's going to happen in the middle of World War III when the angels of God get into the fight, all right? All right, so this is just more prophecy coming to pass.
This goes a lot farther than that. We've questioned here on the Common Sense Show, and so have many other people, why you would lock down a country so completely, so brutally for 9 COVID deaths. You have more people dying of measles than you do of COVID. And taking reasonable precautions to stop spread is one thing. I mean, we're talking about killing a fly with a sledgehammer here. And I said, it doesn't make any sense, but I have mentioned before with the United States, we had a program called Continuity of Government, we still do, 1950s, interstate highway construction. And what that was about was keeping people off the streets so we could move people on military supplies on interstate highways without obstruction. And now I look at what's going on with Australia, and they're making a positive move towards gearing up for war. That's the only reason you take on nuclear submarines. Are they keeping their people off the streets for this reason? It's interesting to consider, isn't it? Look, I'm speculating here, but like I said, now things are starting to fall into place. There's another aspect to this, too, that's really interesting. Why did we leave out France and Germany? Well, I think that sometimes you have to cut your losses. I talked about this in 2014. I said Russia controls the home heating oil for a large part of the German economy and a large part of the French economy. The French are furious they were left out of this deal. The Germans haven't said anything yet, but they can't be too happy either. That's because they're pivoting towards Russia. Russia has them where they want them. And I did a piece on this earlier yesterday where I said Russia is beginning to dominate Germany and France. And I think this is why we left them out of the nuclear deal. We don't trust that they're not going to flip sides. We're looking at the end of NATO, folks. There's no question about that. We're going in different directions. Great Britain has cast their lot with Western nations. Germany and France, I'm not so sure. This is really an interesting time that we live in right now. So we've got the lockdown in Australia, then we get the nuclearization of their naval fleet with nuclear submarines. Then we get the French and Germans being left out of the deal, but the Brits are in, and the French are furious. And we know Russia controls the home heating oil for France and Germany. Can you really come up with anything better than what I'm saying? To me, this is a really easy dot connecting exercise. But what we're seeing are the forces lining up. And you know what's really interesting is we could be facing off against the French. The Germans, it doesn't surprise me. We've done it twice before. The French really is surprising too.
He's talking about World War One and World War II. We've done it twice before. Well, this is World War III.
It's we live in a different world, folks. We live in a different world, folks.
Okay, well there it is. All right. So let's get a scripture real quick, and then we'll watch. We'll go to the headlines. Let's get Psalm 64. This is where we filter the headlines through, or the news. We filter the news and the headlines through the scriptures. Let you know. All right, that's not what I want. I want Psalm 41. All right, KJV, Psalm 41 and 9. Yea, mine own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, hath lifted up his heel against me. This is what France is saying right now. All right? So this is coming straight out of the scriptures. Right? They used to have a deal. We were allies. Suddenly I'm out. All right? It's time to go to war about this shit. All right, we can see World War III about to be declared is the point. Now let's go here. Let's go to Deep Journal first. We'll go here. Let's see. It says, breaking China. This is Deep Journal channel 2 hours ago. Breaking. China attacks U.S. and NATO. There's that NATO, he said, is breaking up. And right here it says, France, USA war grows. NATO is about to disband. So can you see all these pieces coming together? All right, that's 2 hours ago. U.S. Army launches nuclear bomber, nuclear missile, China's nuclear bomber, jet ready to attack, World War III alert. Okay? This is all within the last day. All right, and the last update was on Friday. So you see how quickly this thing is moving? Let's watch a little of this.
Wait, before you scroll away. Will it...
Okay, I'm scrolling away. Hold on. Let's get to the meat.
Dear listeners, welcome to the Deep Journal channel. While the hot conflict with China continues in the South China Sea, France has turned its back on the UK and the USA due
Whoop, there it is.
to a UK-US agreement. Behind the deal, which caused more than $60 billion in damage to the French military economy, France is taking an aggressive stance to protect its interests. Even if they have their rightful sides, the USA has to make some moves against China, one of its two biggest enemies right now. Looking at this debate, it is possible to say that both sides are right, but France is following a much more aggressive policy at this point, and with some statements, even the comments that it has come to a crossroads to completely separate from its two global allies such as the USA and England have begun to be made. With the alliance statements from France, the issue that France could leave the NATO alliance came to the fore. The United States and Britain, on the other hand, take a much more moderate approach towards France. In particular, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, said that he was happy to have an ally like France on their side. From the point of view of France, all its global relations are at a dead end, and this progress seems to be a progress that can cause much greater damage if France continues its aggressive policy. Recalling the Canberra and Washington ambassadors, French Foreign Minister Le Drian said the US and Australia had stabbed France in the back. Le Drian accused the Australian government of lying. It was learned that Paris also cancelled the defense summit that was expected to be held this week between France and England. There are concerns that the submarine crisis may trigger a bigger crisis in NATO. Because French Foreign Minister Le Drian emphasized that the crisis in question could lead to the definition of the new strategic concept of NATO. Xavier Bertrand, who was a minister under Nicolas Sarkozy and announced his candidacy for the next presidential election, called for an extraordinary NATO summit, and said, "We must ask the Americans the question of trust. Do you respect us? Where is the alliance going?" he said. In the face of a possible negative response from the United States, Bertrand suggested that in such a case, France should leave NATO's military command structure. Admiral Rob Bauer, head of the NATO Military Committee, acknowledged that the agreement with Australia could have some consequences, but said it would not have an impact on military cooperation within the alliance. France is right to feel betrayed by America after losing a $60 billion deal to sell submarines to Australia. But the US is also right to pursue its number one foreign policy objective, countering China. The Battle of Yorktown, 1781, the Statue of Liberty, 1886, the Normandy landings, 1944, the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, 1954, and the South China Sea, currently, as well as Gallic sensitivities and American arrogance, were all thrown into a verbal mix of insults this week as part of an unusual fracas between the US and France.
Okay, you see this? You see where this thing is going? Let's see if I can get this. So these alliances are falling apart. What happened to NATO? What happened to the EU? All right, let's get, this is Daniel 2 and 42. Start at 41. Let's see. And the fourth kingdom. What are we going to? And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. And as iron that breaketh all these shall break it in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet, all right, this is that statue, Nebuchadnezzar. Whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron, meaning part strong, and part of clay, part weak, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. All right? And they're not cleaving right now. All right? They're falling apart. All right? And then this is talking about the kingdom of heaven coming in. 44. And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. Other people other than who? The nation of Israel. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So in the middle of this World War III, right, the Most High is going to destroy these other kingdoms. All right? How is he going to do that? He's going to send in his army. Right? How's he going to do it? He's going to gather the troops. I will also gather all nations and bring them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and heritage, whom they have scattered and parted my land. I will gather the armies of the world into the valley of Jehoshaphat. There will I judge them for harming my people. He's going to destroy them. Okay? All the armies, and then he's going to set up a righteous kingdom after he destroys those militaries. He's going to destroy the militaries of all the nations, all of the countries out there. Then it'll be that much easier to subdue them, right? And that's why the one you ignorantly call Jesus is going to have all those crowns, because he's all of the crowns of the other nations. He's taken them down in battle. All right? Now, before they come in, all right, which is here's where the angels come in, right? All right, here's the fight. Here's World War III. Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles: prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Here's where the angels come in. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. That's when the angels come in and subdue all of the armies of the world. Okay? But before that, okay, after that happens, after the angels take down all of the armies of the world, right? All the nations, all these other countries are, the only thing they're going to have left is their nuclear football. Okay, after their armies get wiped out, all they're going to have is their nuclear football. And they're going to be mad at who? They're going to be mad at America for turning on them, right? For jumping ship, switching sides, and doing what you see going on right now, all right? And this is them getting mad. This is Job 20. Start at 22. Oh, I read on that. Let's see. Slovakia. All right, Job 20 and 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. All right. Meaning they're what they're really trying to do is bring in this new world order and be the head of it, when really the NWO wants to give it to China, as you can see, because even though these people are fighting, that the larger goal is the NWO, which it's called a world order. So at some level, they have an alliance to continue to subdue the children of Israel and bring in this new world system. But they're fighting over, World War III is fighting over who's going to run it. Now, Babylon the Great, which is the United States of America, been running shit since World War II. Now, China believes it's their turn. Russia believes it's their turn, even though they're fighting together, right? And the USA is like this, no, we still got this. So they're infighting, right? As in terms of the NWO, right? But, okay, and that's going to be to their detriment. What's going to happen is the angels are going to come from the third dimension. Salaki, the fourth dimension, and they're going to lay everybody down, and the kingdom of heaven is going to be established. All right, so none of them are going to make it. And when their armies get laid down, they're going to turn on each other and fire missiles on each other. All right, and this is that. All right, when he is about to fill his belly, Salakia, in the fullness, right when they're about to bring in their new world order, which is why they're sticking everybody with these things, right? Subduing the people. Job 20 and 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he's almost there. He shall be in straits. Now they're messed up. Everybody's mad at him. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. This wicked is the other nations, not just Esau. These are the other nations coming against Babylon the Great. In this case, it's the mother, which is England, and then the children, which is the U.S. and Australia. Okay? In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come up. They're going to shoot them nukes. When he is about to fill his belly, they're almost bringing in that NWO. The Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him. What is the fury of his wrath? Those nukes. And shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He's eating right now. They're trying to bring in this NWO. How do you know? They got the whole world sticking a needle in there. He shall flee from the iron. What is the iron weapon? Nukes. And the bow of steel shall strike him through. Okay? All right, so that's what we're seeing. Let's get a little bit more on this. All right. France, USA, war grows. NATO is about to disband. All right, so let's look at secret files real quick, and we'll go ahead and bring it to a close. Ooh. Okay, a lot of this is just what's going on in Afghanistan, which is the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Yehoshaphat. Okay, Afghanistan. U.S. drone strikes. Afghanistan. Taliban. This is all Afghanistan. The last day. Here's Russia. Su-24 carried out heavy bombardments near Turkey. You got Russia and Turkey. This is World War III. The troops being gathered. What is this? Iran, just 2 days ago, which would be Saturday, Iran could have enough enrichment uranium for what? A nuke in a month. Let me tell you something. Iran's got nukes now. Okay? Pakistan, Russia to coordinate positions on Afghanistan. This is 3 days ago, so. All right, here's India. You see all these different countries? All right, so that's enough for today. All right, you can see everything's falling apart. The lines are being redrawn. Alliances are being redrawn. Why? Because everybody's being drawn into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. All right? All right, so with that, we'll have more tomorrow. I hope that the elect are edified today, and with that, we'll say shalom.